Right, time for our final starting grid of the first day of the inaugural Karting Champions League Winter Series. It's KZ2, KZ2 Masters and X30 Super Shifter. Just before I go through the starting grid, for you folks at home, what are the number designations? Well, if it's a 4 at the first of the 3 numbers, it's KZ2. 5 is for Masters. The 6 is for Super Shifters. So here is your starting grid. Kevin Stayhauer starts from pole position, joined by countryman Daniel Tenbach on the front row. Renzo Alibax and Louis Esser round out row number 2. Jaden Teen joined by Jens Strö on row number 3. Sita van Miert and Niels Koster are KZ2 Masters pole sitter. Round out the top 4 rows with Julian Kamen and X30 Super Shifter pole sitter from Belgium, Milo van Baggenhout. They round out the top 10. Anders Alkier and Tristan Bellon round out the top 6 rows with Rick Hartmann, joined by Nilan van Winden on row number 7. Completing the 16-driver grid with the 8th and final row, it's Kevin Delcroix and Martin Versteeg. So they now go on to their official formation lap. And this is where we put a twist in the tail, so to speak. It's standing start. There is a significant amount of torque that these drivers are going to have to contend with. Not only have you got the 6-speed gearbox that you actually pull the lever towards you to shift up, you push it forwards to shift down, you've also got to do one other big thing. You've got to find the biting point when you feel that that kart, that when you launch it, is going to be on point. Traction, no wheel spin, and more to the point, it gets you off the line like a scalded cat on a hot tin roof. You need that start, and that's very, very crucial. You can make a complete muck-up on a standing start with the KZ. Well, a KZ2, KZ2 Masters, or even the X30 Super Shifter. It can happen. And one of the things that the drivers are going to do to help aid that traction is to come to a slight stop, let it crawl forward, and light up the rear tyres by booting the throttle. So we've got our flag marshal on the start-finish straight, holding the red flag as if to indicate the drivers, right, get into position. Then when we have the green flag waved on the back, our flag marshal at the front will move away, and then the red lights will start to ignite. It's only when race director Dave Ritson is happy that he will let them go. You can see, you can hear the noise, the cacophony. It's something else that when you hear these engines, they rev very, very high. They are blipping them to keep them circulating, because one of the things you don't want to do is stall. Green flag at the back as we are ready for gearbox action here at KCL. And it's time to go racing. Oh, and a bad start by one of the drivers. And that was Jens Strö. Jens Strö not able to get it off the line, as now the fight starts very, very quickly indeed, going through into turns 1 and 2. And it's Daniel Tenbach that leads, Kevin Stayhauer in second. I think Renzo Alibax in third. I think it's Jaden Teen in fourth as they go through turn number 4 into 5 for the first time. One of the biggest problems with gearbox driving is that sometimes you can actually do yourself a bit of a disservice if you cause a problem with shifting down or shifting up. You can miss-shift completely, and Jens Strö is more than likely not going to be taking part any further in this race. The Dutchman's drive in Heat 1 has gone completely out of the window. Well, he's actually still circulating. He's got it going, but Kevin Stayhauer trying to get through. Well, Kevin Stayhauer leads. Renzo Alibax in the 414. So it's Birlant versus one of the, I think it's one of the Hansa Racing Team drivers. Daniel Tenbach a little bit further back. He's about 6 tenths off. You can see the work that he's putting in on the right-hand side of the steering column. So Jaden Teen coming through shot in the 4.59. But it is at the moment the battle between Stehauer and Alibax. It's like chrono karting all over again, as they run KZ2 and KZ2 Masters. Of course, Karting Champions League has been a sponsor of the chrono karting live stream last year in 2024. The entirety of the 8-round calendar got coverage right the way through until the season finale last November in the first week of the month. So at a minute, Daniel Tenbach trying to now close in on Stehauer and Alibax. They are line astern, and if he makes it, well, they do say 2's company and 3's a crowd, but then if you add Jaden Teen to that mix, if he manages to close on and as they battle away, it will be too many cooks spoil the broth in that particular equation. But there is a move. Niels Costa had Julian Cameron just siding it up the inside at breakneck speed, 110 kilometres an hour plus, going through out into turn 5 on the run through into Chemin de Fer. But Kevin Stehauer trying to now get away from Renzo Alibax, and there is Daniel Tenbach waiting in the wings to see if anything might happen. Top 3 last time around were covered by 0.65 of a second. We complete lap 3, and you make that half a second, and Tenbach goes in 54.823 was his last lap, and that becomes the new fastest lap of the race. Jaden Teen is only 1.7 seconds behind that battle, and then you've got to go a further 1.8 back. Oh, Julian Cameron gets it all wrong into turn 3, and Niels Costa says, thank you very much. After you, of course, I'll take it. And, oh, well, someone's gone straight on, possibly an engine sees into turn 4, yellow flags out. And someone has just had one of the worst things you can have. If the gearbox seizes, the axle on the rear locks up, and you cannot do anything about it, I'm afraid. That is a real shame. I don't like seeing that at all. And I think, well, Jens Tur at the minute has just put in a purple opening sector. So we're going to see who it was. It was Julian Cameron. The 4.29. The 4.29 is now out of the race on lap number 3. Well, lap number 4. We're on lap 5 at the moment. And, well, everyone is really getting very feisty. That's the thing. As soon as you put drivers behind the wheel of such an aggressive kart, you've got to manhandle. This is why gearbox karting, you know, you look at the last Dutch driver to win the last driver to get into Formula 1 from the Netherlands, that funnily enough won at Paul Fletcher International, that was Max Verstappen. So, Kevin Stehauer continues to lead. Renzo Alibax now finds himself half a second back. Louis Esser gets through on Niels Koster. Koster still leading in KZ2 Masters. Tristan Bellon in X30 Supershifter has gone up to now 8th place, having started down in 12th. So some really good battles happening up and down the order here in this particular race, the first of 3 heats this weekend. Kevin Delacroix has made it up from 15th on the grid, now currently runs P11 and is second in the KZ2 Masters classification. But what a shame there for Julian Cameron. Turn 4, back axle, says, no, that's it, I've had enough. There's so much power in terms of brute torque going through the back axle. It is heartbreaking. And I've watched quite recently, I've been watching a lot more gearbox racing in karting, and it's just so heartbreaking when you see these drivers who, along with friends, family, there's so much investment into it, not just fiscally, but also from a passion perspective from the individual and the people they surround themselves with. It is heartbreak when that axle just goes, I've had enough, gone, or the engine seizes, causes the back axle to lock up. And that's probably more than likely what happened with Julian Cameron, that it was an engine seize and he just went straight on and that was it. All she wrote for the 4.29 from the Netherlands. But still, Kevin Stayhauer holding onto the race lead. Took the fastest lap for about 2 seconds, well, about 0.542 of a second before Renzo Alibax went, I'll have that back. We've got a change. A little bit further down. Tristan Bellon, I think, just got through on Rick Hartmann. And Hartmann, well, in some respects, maybe did not want to fight it too much because then that would have put him between a rock and a hard place. And I think that's Anders Alkier with them, along with Sita van Meert. So Sita at the back end of that four-cart train going into Chemin de Fer. Down to 2 minutes and 50 plus 1 additional lap to go. And there's a lot more strategy with regards to this kind of driving. Of course, you've got to make sure that your shifts are on point. And because you're carrying a lot more speed in comparison with, let's say, direct drive karts, that you've got to, you're banging down the gears, you're trying to keep it straight, you're trying to hit the apex, you're trying to really get out of that corner as quickly as possible without spooling up the rear tyres, and that can happen. And I've seen it before where one driver's decided to come out of a corner and hit the loud pedal a little bit too early, and it spun them around 180 or 360 degrees. So they're either pointing in the right direction or pointing the other way, and pointing the other way is not a good thing. But there is a lot of pressure that Sita van Meert is putting onto Anders Alkier, I believe. But at the moment, well, Kevin Stayhauer now puts in a new fastest lap of the race last time round, 54.290. He's got an 0.8 of a second lead over Renzo Alibax, 54.292 from Kevin Stayhauer, and Alibax 54.399, so nearly 0.2 between those two. But this is a great squabble here, and there's going to be a change. So Jens Stroh that was. You'll recognise the race outfit and the helmet, the race helmet as well. Jens Stroh through on Sita van Meert at turn 1. So the 440 finds herself down in 11th. So Jens Stroh back into the top 10. But we've only got just over a minute to go. Can he make up maybe another 2, maybe 4 places by the checkered flag? Well, that's 1. I think that was Anders Alkier in the number 494 from Denmark. So next up will be Rick Hartmann from Germany, then Tristan Bellon and Niels Koster, I believe, at the front end of that train. So Kevin Stayhauer brings us on to the penultimate lap. There is going to be a change of position here as Koster gets mugged by Bellon going into turn 1. And I'm not too sure if Niels Koster might have gone, I didn't really like that, I didn't fight it. Well, if he fought it and clashed sidewalls with Bellon, then one of them would have been in the barriers, 100%. There's so much velocity that you're finding yourself carrying, and it's a very big wake-up call when you go from direct drive to gearbox. The learning curve is significant, but then if you can master that, if you can master moving up classes, you can then also, in some respects, master your way through into gearbox karting from direct drive. So timer has expired for the last time today. Now we've got the last lap board showing out. So Kevin Stayhauer leading the way. His lead over Renzo Alibax is 1.3 seconds. Daniel Tenbach in third, Jaden Teen in fourth. Fifth is Louis Esser, Tristan Bellon. Rick Hartmann's now has just been dumped out of the top 10 and runs 11th. First it was Jens Stroh, who's now behind Tristan Bellon. Bellon was the one that was the driver that organised the domino rally effects there for him. And then Jens Stroh, Sita van Meert, Niels Koster, and they all obliged. But Kevin Stayhauer started from pole position, got the whole shot, and has led every single lap. He will take the win here and take the checkered, and wins by a comfortable margin, nearly 1 3/4 seconds ahead of Renzo Alibax. Daniel Tenbach rounds out the top 3, and it's a top 4 lockout by the Netherlands as Jaden Teen started 5th, finishes in 4th place. Louis Esser for Germany finishes in 5th. And our X30 Super Shifter winner of heat number 1, Tristan Bellon, started 12th, finishes P6. He finished ahead of Jens Streur, Zita van Meert, and Anders Elkier, who round up the top 9 overall. Niels Koster takes the win in KZ2 Masters in 10th overall ahead of Rick Hartmann. Kevin Delacroix second in Masters ahead of Milo van Buggenhout, who took the pole in X30 Super Shifter, but unfortunately would drop to 13th at the flag. Milan van Winden and Martin Versteeg round out the finishers, and unfortunately on lap 4, turn 4, it was game over for Julian Carmen, but Kevin Stayhauer takes the win in the first heat for KZ2 Masters and X30 Super Shifter.